cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into today's episode of the Top Cut Yu-Gi-Oh! Podcast. My name is Sunny. I am here with my co-host Caleb.
Yo!
And of course, before we get too far in, we want to take just a moment to thank all of our wonderful patrons. So a huge thank you to Cam Yang, Austin Johnson, Kane Martin, Gate Guardian Support, HGH Cyber, Madam Bear Smugness, Marshawn Jones, Zyphorus, Zephyrus, AD, ABC, It's Easy as 123, Anthony Leela, Blackwing Silver in the Ascendant as a Floodgate, Branded Fart, Cult of the Eldritch Gummy Bear, Damian Zink, Dank Nugs, Elemental Hero Nibiru Token, Invoked Fart, Mountain Man, Oatmeal Spaghetti, Owen Alvarado, Pig, Rabina Go Chirp Chirp, Rudolph, Sneaky Links, Sunny You Stubbornness, It Was Super Effective, Unbanned number 95, Konami, Virtually Saviors World, What Does Potagri Do, Zingas Khan, Aaron Gardner, Asami, Dragon Maidenless Behavior.
Say it.
I don't wanna.
Say it.
I, Sunny, will give Dylan an episode to discuss Appaloosa.
Woo! That's the patron name, by the way.
I'm not doing it.
Great name.
I am bound by nothing. Liberamancer Best Deck, Maxi Solves Combo, Mystic Mind Duelist, Nordic Best Deck, Old Man Red, Pin Code 143, Ray Powell, Shockmaster Did Nothing Wrong, Slaking It Up, and VFD's Nuts. Thank you all so much for your continued support of the podcast. Of course, we want to thank a couple of people before we get too far in. We want to thank Milennium Threads for sponsoring the podcast, sending us some awesome merch, which we have put pictures up of what we have gotten on our Twitter page. If you want to see some pictures, also you can check out their link in the description down below. Milennium Threads is an Etsy shop where you can go and buy various Yu-Gi-Oh themed attire and things like that, hats, hoodies, various things. Yeah. So huge thank you to Milennium Threads. Be sure to check them out on Etsy. And of course, also a huge thank you to Dragon Shield. Dragon Shield sponsored both our podcast and we helped us do an awesome giveaway recently on our Twitter. So if you're interested in that, be sure to check out Dragon Shield. If you click the affiliate link in the description down below before you shop, it costs you nothing extra to support the podcast. So huge thank yous to Milennium Threads and Dragon Shield for sponsoring the podcast. And of course, if you are shopping for Yu-Gi-Oh related things on TCG Player, you can always check out our TCG Player affiliate link in the description down below. And lastly, you can check out our Discord where we host locals every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. They're remote dual locals.
We have an entire section just to help new people out.
Yep, it is free to enter. It's mostly there for enjoyment, but if you do top, then you do get an invite to our invite-only tournament, which will be held later this year. That'll be free to enter for anybody with an invite, and it'll have some actual prizing involved. So be sure to check that out. And if you're on Apple or Spotify, be sure to leave a rating or a review. Share the podcast with friends. All the usual things. If you're on YouTube, think about hitting the subscribe button if you like what you hear.
And ring the bell.
Yeah, absolutely. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get on into the actual episode.
Yeah, so to begin with, you have some brand new cards.
Yep, we have a good bit. We haven't gone over new cards in quite a while, actually.
So first off,
kind of been letting them build up.
Yes, first off, I kind of want to start with something I've been really excited about because this is a deck I really enjoyed just the theming of from back in the day. So if you don't mind, I want to take this real quick.
Because you're a monster and you can't have all of them. I want some of them because I like this deck too.
But I mean, I want to start at the beginning. Like I want to, yeah. Okay, so if y'all remember back in the day, Dark World. They are getting a new structure deck that's going to include new Dark World support.
So we already knew that there was a structure deck coming, but now we have the effects of a lot of the cards. And to be fair, we've had these effects for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, we're just not getting to them.
We've been waiting for some more cards to build up.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So, first off, we have Rainbow, Supreme Overlord of the Dark World. Level 8, 3,000 attack, 1,800 defense. Hey, like a real boss monster.
I mean, Grapha was a real boss monster in the day.
Yeah. But I mean, now he just isn't big enough. 2,700, not big enough. 3K on the other hand.
Juicy.
Juicy 3,300 under the field spell. Aw, yeah.
That's it.
1, you can special summon this card from your graveyard by returning a level 7 or lower Dark World monster you control to the hand. Yo, that's broken. That's literally Grapha's effect.
And it's not once per turn.
Yeah. 2. If this card is discarded by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can add one level 5 or higher Dark World monster from your deck to your hand, except another copy of itself. Then, if it was discarded by your opponent, you can special summon a level 4 or lower Dark World monster from your deck or graveyard to either field.
Which means you can summon, what is it, Cerberus? Ceruli.
Yeah, you can just give your opponent Ceruli and get Ceruli's effect off.
That's awesome.
Rather than having to discard Ceruli.
Yes. So, next we have Dark World Puppeteering, which is a quick play spell. You can only activate one card with this card's name per turn. 1. Target up to 3 cards in any graveyard. Banish them, then discard one Fiend monster. So a very cool interruption there. And 2. During your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from the graveyard, then target one of your banished Fiend monsters, add it to your hand.
Really good.
Yeah, this card's really good.
It also makes Allure Darkness just free.
Yeah, it does.
Next up, we have Grapha, Dragon Overlord of the Dark World.
You're getting the really cool cards.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to go first.
I see how it is.
Yeah.
Continue.
Dark Fiend Fusion monster, by the way. Level 10, 3,200 attack, 2,300 defense, 3,500 under the field spell.
Yeah, big.
Fusion materials. Grapha, Dragon Lord of the Dark World, and a Dark Monster. Yo, that's a super poly target.
Not only that, is it just me, or can you use Grapha and Fallen of Albaz and summon this guy off Branded Fusion? Or does Branded Fusion have a restriction on it that it has? Does it have to send?
I don't know. Look up Branded Fusion while I read this guy's effect.
Okay.
You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn.
No, it has to mention Fallen of Albaz as material.
Okay, yeah, there you go. So yeah, you can't. Okay.
Would be cool though.
Yeah. Okay, so you can only use this first.
Ignore me.
You can only use this first effect once per turn. When your opponent activates a normal spell or trap card or monster effect, quick effect, you can make that effect become your opponent discards one card. That is a negate without being a negate.
Yes.
So things that negate your negate, or just say you cannot negate, this gets around it.
Yeah.
I'm not negating anything. I'm just changing your effect. Also, thanks for the free bonus effect. Like, if you discard a brow off of that, draw 2.
Oh my goodness.
Because a lot of the Dark Worlds have effects that are discarded, and then they get powered up effects if they get discarded because your opponent did something.
Yeah, that's a really good effect.
2. If this fusion summon card leaves the field by your opponent, you can special summon one of your Graphas that is banished or in your graveyard, then each player discards a card.
One of the main deck Graphas, not this Grapha.
Yeah. It's very specifically Grapha, Dragon Lord of the Dark World, the old boss monster.
Right. Not Overlord of the Dark World, just Lord of the Dark World.
That is a really good card.
Yeah, it's very good. Very, very good. And I'll be honest though, this quick play spell might be even. It's also very good. All right, so Dark World Accession.
Yeah, Accession.
It looks like it should be Ascension, but there's no N, so it's just Accession.
I wonder if it's a typo on Yu-Gi-Oh! Organization.
Yeah. Quick play spell. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. 1. During the main phase, fusion summon one Fiend Fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed on it from your field and or your graveyard. If summoning a Dark World Fusion monster this way, you can also discard monsters from your hand as material. 2. During your main phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can add it to your hand, then discard one Dark World monster.
Okay, I looked it up. The word is accession.
Oh.
The attainment or acquisition of a position of rank or power, typically that of a monarch or president.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's the same thing as an ascension.
That makes sense. Okay, so this card's really, really good though. It really cannot be understated how good these cards are for the deck. For the typing.
Not only that,
Danger Dark World is even better than it already was.
I know, right? Okay, so something else I really like is how a lot of these cards have the discard not as a cost, meaning the Dark Worlds will get their effects off because Dark Worlds won't get their effects
That's the whole point.
Yeah, that's the whole point. And I love that. That's good. I fully expected them to make it the cost.
Right.
Because Konami hates us.
Well, yeah.
I mean, just hates its player base in general, not.
But I think that they would know when designing specifically Dark World cards
Yeah.
that's kind of an important part of it.
Oh, very much so. Anyway, like all these cards are really good, so I'm really stoked. Just because I really like Dark Worlds back in the day. I just really like their
For sure.
Artwork. And,
Their aesthetic.
Yeah, their aesthetic. That's the word I was looking for, and I couldn't find it.
Oh, I got you, bro.
Yeah.
All right. Next, we have some cards coming from Amazing Defenders.
Yes, we don't know what their effects are.
Right.
Yet. So
Amazing Defenders is it's like the next kind of like Tactical Masters.
Yeah.
It's like a deck building pack. Is that what they call it? A deck building set?
Yeah, it's the deck build pack, which for us just gets called a random.
Yeah, it's a side set.
Yeah.
So this is Amazing Defenders. So first we have Rescue Ace, which is basically a big Earth Machine dude. It looks like Machina Citadel, but
like painted like fire engine red.
Yeah, and with like these big tanks on top, like it's almost like a big fire truck, really, because it's got like ladders on it. It looks like.
Yeah, but then also like
it's like they made Machina Citadel a fire truck.
Yes, because I just realized I thought those were like miniguns on its arms.
No,
those are like water cannons with like a fan on.
Yeah, they are. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's just a giant fire. Is this thing gonna be like? It might end up being a water machine.
Or a fire machine.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to just for now assume it's Earth Machine support.
Yeah, I accidentally exited out of the page. I'll let you go over the next two.
Okay, so the description they give us for this is a righteous ace monster that bravely stands up to any and all threats. The next one is Puri, a dragon of some kind. Its description exceeds monster that grows when it receives love, whatever that means. I'm thinking maybe the more materials it has underneath it, the higher attack points it has.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And then maybe it's got an ability to like attach stuff to it.
Probably.
Lastly, we have Mikanko, which is a young maiden that serves Kami and Shinto religion. A ritual monster that advents through mysterious dance.
So more ritual cards.
Yeah, advents through mysterious dance. That makes me think it'll be kind of like the megaliths, where you ritual summon one, activate effect, ritual summon another one, get an effect, activate effect, ritual summon a different one, and maybe instead of tributing, it might like return them to the hand.
That would be very cool. I would not be opposed to that.
Because then it's kind of like the ritual monsters are hitting the field, dancing a little bit, then returning back to the hand.
Yeah, I could see that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's the ritual. It's a ritual waifu deck. It's the waifu deck of the three.
Right.
So we got the machines, the dragons, the waifus.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty solid set as far as like artwork's concerned. Then.
Pretty much.
So next up, we have two cards that were originally only in the manga are now finally going to be printed.
Yes.
I'll let you get the first one.
So we don't have an effect. Oh wait, I'm looking at the.
Yeah, you're looking at a different card.
Here we go.
Yeah, it's those two.
All right. So first we have Daidara Baki. So this is a level 10 Earth zombie effect monster, 2,900 attack, 2,500 defense. Cannot be special summoned. You contribute summon this card face up by tributing one zombie monster. 1. Gains 200 attack for every other zombie monster you control. 2. At the start of your main phase 1, if this card and 2 or more zombie monsters other than Daidara Baki are in your graveyard, you can discard one card, add this card to your hand. It seems okay. It's not honestly that terrible.
The thing is, I think this is from the Duel Monsters era manga.
Yeah, I wouldn't call this like the worst card I've ever seen, but it's definitely not great.
And then the other card is Queen Butterfly Denouse, level 8 Wind Insect, 2,800 attack, 1,900 defense. You can only use the effect of this card's name once per turn. 1. If you control this normal summoned or set card, quick effect, you can target up to 3 level 4 lower insect monsters in your graveyard. Change this card's attack to 0. If you do, special summon those monsters, but their effects are negated. It's kind of like that one fish, Super Deep Sea King Coelacanth.
Yes.
But for insects. And worse.
And in the graveyard. Coelacanth summons him out the deck.
Yeah, it's like a great. It's like that's what I mean by a worse one. Also, you have to tribute
Yes.
summon. You have to normal summon this thing. You have to tribute summon this thing to get off its effect, which is awful.
Yeah, but
It's neat.
exactly, it's neat.
Next up, we have the next V-Jump promo.
Yep. So this is Green Ninja. All we know is that it's a level 2 wind attribute, and its description is an effect that's related to battle positions, and its effect will be revealed in the next issue of V-Jump.
Yeah. Fun fact about its name in Japanese, the actual text it actually means like young ninja,
Right.
but it's hard read as green ninja, so it's a joke.
Right. It's a play on words because he's green as in he's like fresh off the street kind of.
Yeah, but then also because he's wearing green clothes.
Right. And he's wind attribute.
Next up, we have Fish of the Deep Beyond. Fish is spelled G-H-O-T-I.
I mean, okay, so here's the thing. There was this meme that went floating around a few years back that if the GH in the word enough
Or tough.
right is pronounced like F, like fish, and what was the O one?
Like in noise. But no, there's actual I in noise. I don't remember what O was, but hang on. It's looking up. There it is.
If the GH sound in enough is pronounced like F, and the O in women
There it is. Is an
makes
I.
the short I sound, and the TI in nation is pronounced sh, then the word GHOTI is pronounced just like fish.
Yep.
So they made this card's name
A joke
off of a literal meme.
from years ago.
Yes. So
Oh my god, which is I love it so much.
right. So this is how we end up with Fish of the Deep Beyond.
So, it is a level 10 water fish synchro monster. Who would have guessed it was a fish?
Yeah, for real.
Question mark attack, 0 defense, materials. 1+ fish tuners and 1+ non-tuner monsters. I think this is the first monster that's asked for one or more tuners. Because I've seen one tuner and I've seen two tuners.
No, there was. Oh, I see what you're talking. I just see
But
what
I've
you're
never
saying.
seen one or more.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever seen that either.
Yeah. So that's really cool. But particularly because
It's
you can,
unique.
yeah, particularly because you can just like surprise your opponent by going, okay, well they can synchro, make 2 synchros, and you're just like, no, I'm just gonna use these 3 monsters and 2 tuners. There you go,
Right.
just out of nowhere. So its actual effect. The original attack of this card becomes 500 times the number of banished monsters. Its original attack becomes this,
Right.
which is ridiculous.
I mean,
So if something says like double the original attack or take damage equal to the original attack, it's not 0. If this card is synchro summoned during your opponent's turn, you can banish all cards on the field. Really good effect. I don't know how you're going to summon this during your opponent's turn.
I'm assuming that there's going to be something in archetype that allows you to do that.
Yes, because we are getting a new synchro fish archetype.
Obviously, from the release of this card.
Yeah. During the standby phase of the next turn after this card was banished from the monster zone, you can special summon this banished card.
It seems like it has the potential to be a cool interruption.
It's almost a better white aura whale.
Almost, yeah.
But
I see
like
what you're
a
saying.
fish or a fish specific white aura whale.
I should take all of my white aura whales down from TCG Player.
Yeah, because that. What level are white aura whales?
8.
8. Okay, yeah, it's a level 10 white aura whale, which is neat. You probably should because they're probably going to spike up whenever this archetype comes out.
Probably.
Last card. You get the last card.
Is there another one?
Yeah, there's one more.
Did I miss it?
It's.
Oh! I somehow clicked off of that page too.
Look at you, a professional.
I know, I am a true professional. Next we have a Bridge of the Heart. So this is coming from the new Crystal Beast structure deck, at least in the OCG, which I mean, we should get it here in the TCG because...
Which we do have the full OCG set. We know what every card is going to be in the OCG version of this deck.
Right.
Which we'll talk about in a minute.
Right. So, Bridge of the Heart, continuous spell. You can only use the second and third effects of this card's name each once per turn. 1, during your main phase, You can normal summon one Crystal Beast monster in addition to your normal summoner set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. 2. During your main phase, you can destroy one Crystal Beast card you control or in your hand, and if you do, add one Crystal Spell Trap from your deck to your hand. 3. If a Crystal Beast card or cards is placed in your Spell Trap zone, even during the damage step, you can target one card your opponent controls, return it and this card to the hand. Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
And the extra normal summon is not once per turn.
Interesting.
You can
only gain this effect once per turn.
So wait. They said you can only use the second and third effect of this card's name each once per turn.
Oh, okay.
Then you can only gain this effect once per turn on the first effect?
Okay, the reason why is because of... Okay, so like let's say I had Bridge of Heart and Madolche Salon up.
Yeah.
I could get the Salon normal summon or this normal summon, not both.
Interesting.
But it does stack with double summon.
This is weird.
Yes. Learning Madolche because of Salon, I learned some weird things.
Weird interactions.
That's why a lot of those cards say you can only gain this effect once per turn, separately from everything else, because they mean the extra,
the extra normal.
But it's a specified normal compared to double summons normal summon.
Really?
Yeah, I don't fully understand it.
It's probably one of those things that's because Konami said so.
Probably. But
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and the only reason I know that is entirely because I only had one Salon at the time. This is back when people were running 3. So I was running one Salon, 2 double summon.
And you had to learn that interaction.
Yeah, because I had a hand of Salon double summon, I was like, how would this work?
Right.
Looked into it, read a bunch of articles on it. Yeah, that would give me 3 normal summons that turn.
Broken.
Not really. Not as broken as you would think, but still hilarious.
Not terrible.
Yeah. But like overall, I think that actually now with its second effect where it destroys a Crystal Beast in your hand to search for a Crystal Beast spell or trap.
Right.
You can so whenever, because there's a reason why they say destroy. Because then they activate their effects to go in your spell and trap card zone.
Right.
But hold on. You can grab Crystal Promise, activate Crystal Promise, and special summon them out of that zone.
I don't know the Crystal Beast cards well enough to know how all of these new cards are going to interact with each other.
Okay, I actually had a Crystal Beast deck back in the day because I liked building anime decks back in the day, because why not?
Who doesn't?
Yeah. These cards work really well with what the deck is trying to do.
But how legitimate does it actually make it as a deck?
Compared to literally everything else, not.
Compared to where it was before?
Oh my god, so much better. Holy crap. Like, let me put it like this. It's actually feasible now to summon Rainbow Dragon.
That as far as things go, that's better.
Yeah. Because before you couldn't search Rainbow Dragon. You just straight could not search. You had to hard draw it. And then you can only summon it if you kind of somehow kajiggered your way into having all 7 Crystal Beasts.
Kajiggered is a funny word.
Thank you.
I would have said engineered, but...
Well, that's the thing. Is this deck really engineering anything?
Yes. It
back in the day.
No.
No, back in the day, no, it was not engineering.
It was luck-based.
Yeah, and it was a combination of luck-based and just hope your opponent doesn't OTK you. Not even OTK, hope your opponent doesn't summon something with 1900 attack.
Right.
1800 attack. I thought, I had a brain fart there, and I thought Sapphire Pegasus was 1900, and he's 1800. You could get away with 2000 with Topaz Tiger, but that you still have to spend your normal summon on Topaz Tiger and not Pegasus.
Right.
Like, the only Crystal Beast you actively wanted to normal summon was
Pegasus.
Pegasus and Ruby Carbuncle.
Was Carbuncle one of the good ones?
Yes. Pegasus and Carbuncle are the only 2 good ones.
Fair enough. Amber Mammoth is kind of... Amber Mammoth is
can be clutch. Topaz Tiger is great in a vacuum, in a sealed format. Because when he attacks, he goes up to 2k.
Right.
So in a sealed format, Topaz Tiger is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Outside of sealed format, he's awful. Emerald Tortoise is awful. Amethyst.
I don't know how you remember.
Amethyst Cat is terrible. Her thing is she can attack directly for half damage.
Okay.
She has 1200 attack.
Oh boy. It only takes 14 turns to get to lethal.
And I forgot what Cobalt Eagle does, but his effect's also okay.
Yeah, I don't remember anything about what any of them do, if I'm not being honest here.
So Sapphire Pegasus on normal or special.
Okay, actually, I know it's Sapphire Pegasus does.
Yes. You know, it lets you just put one in your spell and trap zone.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then Ruby Carbuncle on summon lets you select one of your guys in the back row and then moves them up to the front row.
Right.
Resummons them back as monsters instead of continuous spells.
Yeah. So, with all that said, it's going to be an interesting deck. I don't know if it'll be good, but it'll be better than it was.
Yeah. It'll definitely be very fun. One thing that I would love to do with this deck, just cause it's something different and cool, is maybe do like a sealed for fun tournament where you're only allowed to use 3 of those structure decks.
We'll have to see how it comes in the TCG.
Yeah. Exactly. It depends on what hand traps you get out of the structure deck. Because
just what power cards in general.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's talk about the power cards in the OCG.
It's all right. It's not that great. We had some fake leaks, some false leaks.
Yeah. But now we have the actual full set list.
Yeah, but some cards that we thought were going to be there are not. Specifically, it was leaked that Forbidden Droplet would be here, and it's not.
Yeah. Here are the notable good cards. First off, they do have a Haman, Lord of Striking Thunder, which in a deck like Crystal Beast is a must-have.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Why?
Okay, so he's a 4K beast stick that on summon. I forgot he has
What's his summon condition?
Oh, you send 3 continuous spells from your field to the graveyard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then he's just a 4K beat stick. And then he does something else. I just don't remember.
Interesting.
Yeah, but then sending those 3 Crystal Beasts to the grave also sets up some of your other Crystal Beast cards. Because some Crystal Beast cards require that your Crystal Beast be in the grave.
Right.
I see you've pulled up Haman, Lord of Striking Thunder.
I have. Cannot be normal summon set. Must be special summon from your hand by sending 3 face-up continuous spells you control to the graveyard. If it destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. And while it's in face-up defense position, monsters your opponent controls cannot target monsters for attacks except for this one. And considering he's got 4,000 defense...
It's pretty solid, actually.
Yeah, but notably, he's a 4,000 dude.
Yeah. And then your Raya, Lord of Searing Flames, the same thing, but for continuous traps.
Gotcha, but they're all treated as spells when they're in the spell trap zone.
Correct. So you just send your Crystal Beasts.
That makes sense.
Other cards, Dimension Shifter, great reprint. It's only had 1 printing as a secret rare in a 10.
Prismatic Secret.
Contact C, cool reprint.
Yeah.
I guess, if people don't have them. Foolish Burial Goods, another cool reprint. Metaverse, cool reprint. Ghost Bell, great reprint. Yes, I've been dodging around the best ones, and I left the best one for last.
Okay.
Ash Blossom. The OCG is getting Ash Blossom Joyous Spring.
The Melody of Awakening Dragon is also here, which is a cool reprint.
Ooh, that is a really cool reprint. What fusion spell are they running?
I think one of the new crystal cards.
Right, yes, one of the new crystal cards fuses. Right, I completely forgot because it's been a while.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. There's so many crystal cards in here that I just don't know what they do.
I remember Rare Value is actually a really good card. You send a if I recall correctly, it's you send a Crystal Beast in your spell and trap zone to the graveyard, draw 2 cards.
Sounds about right.
For Rare Value, and it's kind of like cards for Black Feathers.
I'll run through it real quick. Crystal Beasts, Ruby Carbuncle, Amethyst Cat, Emerald Tortoise, Topaz Tiger, Amber Mammoth, Cobalt Eagle, Sapphire Pegasus. Makes a ton of sense that these are all here.
Yeah.
Rainbow Dark Dragon, Crystal Master, Crystal Keeper, Haman, Lord of Striking Thunder, Dimensional Shifter, Contact C, Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, Ghost Bell, and Haunted Mansion, Awakening of the Crystal Lord, Crystal Protection, Ancient City, Rainbow Ruins, Rainbow Bridge, Crystal Beacon, Crystal Blessing, Crystal Abundance, Crystal Promise, Crystal Tree, Crystal Release, Rare Value, Rainbow Refraction, Advanced Dark, The Melody of Awakening Dragon, Foolish Burial Goods, Cosmic Cyclone, Crystal Grace, Crystal Miracle, Crystal Brilliance, Crystal Pair, Crystal Conclave, Ultimate Crystal Magic, Counter Gem, Ferret Flames, and Metaverse. And then there's a Light of Transcending Bonds pack that comes with it, which has Rainbow Dragon Overdrive, Rainbow Overdragon, Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon, Bridge to the Heart, and Crystal Bond. And then it also comes with some bonus cards, is how it's listed, which is Rainbow Dragon, and then 3 Rainbow Dragon tokens.
Yeah. But they're like...
Or Crystal Beast tokens.
Yeah, but they're like different artworks.
Yeah, similar how they did with the...
Alabaster Structure Deck.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
So like one of them is... I can't think of the dude's name.
Jesse Anderson.
Yeah, it's Jesse Anderson with Ruby Carbuncle. Another one's just Jesse Anderson himself. And the third one is an actual Crystal Beast token.
Right. Well...
Those are all the new cards from the past couple of weeks.
Yes.
Lots of cool things. Lots of things are a little disappointing. I'm really stoked for the... I'm actually kind of stoked for the Crystal Beast Architect because I really like Crystal Beast. I just think their whole shtick is really cool. And then
I'm excited to see what reprints we get. That's always the most exciting part of a structure deck to me.
Yes, it really is.
So we'll see what we get. It would be really cool to see Ash Blossom get a reprint here.
Yeah, like in my opinion, if they were just to print the structure deck as is, it would be a very, very good $30 drop pick up 3.
Oh yeah,
very
probably.
Well worth it.
I mean, realistically, they could just print a deck where it's nothing but a singular copy of Ash Blossom, and that would be a good choice.
Oh yeah, no, that'd be immediately worth $10 right there. Boom. Let's go.
Which is kind of the problem with Ash Blossom. And why it should be in literally every structure deck for the next several years.
Yeah, give the MST treatment.
Yeah, I very wholeheartedly believe that. I mean, there's no reason not to, in my opinion.
The way I would do it is, like I said, give the MST treatment where it gets reprinted, but then like one of the other power cards around it also gets reprinted with it.
Of course.
So sometimes you go like MST Heavy Storm or MST Torrential or MST Dark Hole or whatever. So stuff like that.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go on to our secondary segment, but before we do, I want to take a moment to thank another one of our sponsors, ETB Games. ETB is our locals in Alexandria, Louisiana. Please be sure to check them out at the link in the description down below. They are your one-stop shop for all of your card game needs. They have singles and sealed product, as well as sleeves, deck boxes, playmats, binders, and all of those things for the card games that you love, such as Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Digimon, and more. They also have a wide board game selection and a great selection of products for all of your tabletop gaming needs, such as books, the figurines, the paint for the figurines, all of the big mats that they use, all of those various things. If you're interested, like I said, check out the link in the description down below. And if you're somewhere near within a few hours of Alexandria, be sure to go ahead and check us out this weekend. We're having the ETB Battle City Monthly, and this weekend's tournament will be an Edison tournament starting at 3:00. If you need more details for that, you can hit us up through Discord or Twitter, and we can give you all of the details for that. But we will be there at the Edison tournament, so be sure to check it out.
For those of you listening in the future, the Edison tournament was June 25th, 2022. And I also want to say thank you for listening so far in the future that this is no longer pertinent.
You're not wrong.
Ooh, I didn't think that joke was that funny.
Okay. Well, I've got a sore throat, so.
Yeah, allergies, man.
They're rough.
But yeah,
lead us into the next segment while I drink water.
Yes. Okay, so the next segment we're going to talk about, because we haven't talked about anything like particularly meta heavy relevant in a while. So we figured we should probably go ahead and talk about hand traps. Yes, hand traps. A deck that at 40 card deck, you're running 15 of them probably. Key term.
It depends on the deck, really.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like my dinos, I'm running 15 because 3 of them are also extenders.
Are you really running that many?
Yes.
Wow.
3 Ash, 3 DD Crow, 3
Token Collector,
3 Imperm.
That's 12.
That's 12. I miscounted.
You're bad at math.
Listen. I never claimed I was good at math.
That is true. You did never claim that you were good at math.
Listen. It was a calculated risk, but I'm bad at math.
Well, we're going to take a few of the top decks of the current meta and talk about some of the places that you can interact with those decks with different hand traps. And what you can do is...
to get the most bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Bang for your card.
It's less about taking and going through by each hand trap and deciding what decks it's good against, and more...
what hand traps hurt individual decks.
Right.
It's the reverse direction.
Right. So, I'm just going to be honest. I think it would be easiest if we started with Sword Soul, because that's the deck I know the most about.
Correct. I would agree with that.
So, the best hand traps against Sword Soul are Imperm and Effect Veiler.
And Token Collector.
And Token Collector. Yeah. Definitely Token Collector.
Can't forget my boy Token Collector. Love that little gremlin.
I hate that card. So, if we're talking about Imperm or Effect Veiler, I would say to hit them on their normal summon. So, the normal summon for this deck is very important. For things like Mo Yi or something like Tai, if you can hit those cards and stop their effects, it is hugely impactful on the deck strategy. Sometimes it can be a little non-linear and interesting because sometimes they get to these cards in a different way.
Sometimes they just have the Heavenly Dragon Cycle in their hand. Just go, cool, activate Heavenly Dragon Cycle.
Yes.
Get the token anyway.
Yes, it can be rough if that happens. But
God.
The other thing is that I would recommend, if they're going first and they lead off with a Sword Soul Emergence, I would ash that personally. Sometimes they don't have any follow-up. Sometimes that's their only card, and you end their turn.
It's definitely one of those things, though.
But it can also be bait.
Yeah, it could also 100% be activate. Cool. Normal summon.
Yeah.
But to be fair, where else would you ash them besides the Emergence?
So you can also ash on Ecclesia or on...
Vishuddha, right?
No, Ashuna.
Ashuna. I always get them mixed up.
Yeah, Vishuddha is the dark one that can bounce.
Got it.
Ashuna is the light one that can special summon from the deck.
I personally much prefer to just hold it for the... It depends on how many hand traps I have. If my opening hand has only Ash, and they just go... they just go start their turn, look at their hand, and go... activate
Emergence.
Activate Emergence. If I don't have any other hand traps, I'll just go ahead and do it there because there's like a 50% chance, roughly, in my head, that just ends their turn.
There is a fair shot that it ends their turn, but I would say if they're going second and they Emergence and you have Ash and you, depending on what other interruptions you have, I would not be ashing the Emergence going if they're going second. So if you're going first and they're trying to play into your board and they activate Emergence, if you don't have a way to stop an Ecclesia, then I let that Emergence go.
Yes.
Because most of the time, if they're going second and you're going first, then to me, if I'm playing the deck, usually when I activate Emergence like that, if I just lead right into it with Emergence, either I don't have another play or I'm baiting with the Emergence to use Ecclesia.
Yes. Now, I haven't had, in my experience, dueling you a whole bunch. Because I'm playing Dino, I always have like 4 or 5 interruptions.
I mean, generally. That's how it always seems to work out. Either that or nothing.
Yeah. I mean, because that's just the way Dino works. So if I'm on the board with like a bunch of interruptions and you active Emergence, I just let it resolve.
I mean, a lot of the times that's just the way to do it.
I have no reason to not, because I can just use my interrupts to stop your normal summon, and then okay, cool, special summon Ecclesia, activate effect, negate. I have other things.
Yeah.
Again, it would also depend on how many hand traps do you have in your hand. Do you only have 1? Do you have 2? What are they? Blah 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 blah.
Right.
It's really a case by case basis on whether or not you should ash specifically the emergence. If they use I almost said Vishuda again, Ashuna, and you have ash, that ash it, just stop it.
Yeah, that's fair, especially if they lead off with Ashuna, and they go Ashuna, link off into the monk, and then they try to activate Ashuna right there. Theoretically, that could be bait. Another thing that they can do there is they can summon Adhara and then use Longyan and then Longyan and Adhara to make Yazi. And then they can go Yazi, pop a card on your field, and then use Yazi to special summon a worm from the deck. And that's when they summon either Taiye or Moyi.
Depending upon which one they haven't used yet.
Right, I would probably summon Taiye right there, just to be able to activate effect to banish the Longyan, and then make Baxia, shuffle 2 cards back, because the whole point of these cards is for board breaking ability. And then basically having that Ashuna right there helps them break your board by either going into a Yazi line or going into a Vishuda line, both of which are devastating. So, ashing the Ashuna is absolutely fair play.
Oh yeah, it's always worked out for me personally.
Right,
but that's just my limited experience with only duel. You're the only Soul player I've ever dueled.
Right. Yeah, and then as far as
there was one other one, but he just got token collected out the rear end. So
yeah, I was gonna say that was the next thing I was gonna say. If you're running token collector, which I don't think is a bad card right now, then
they have to have Heavenly Dragon Circle in their hand.
Yes.
If they don't have it, that's game. They not game, but they just hit my mic. That's just turn end.
Even with Heavenly Dragon Circle, it's still a turn end.
Not quite, because you were still able to push through and make a Chi normally. Usually you're able
only if I haven't normaled or I have a way to special Ecclesia.
Yeah. But a lot of Sword Soul players I've noticed, like playing on like streams and stuff I've watched and stuff, always try to save their normal summon as long as possible.
Right.
For exactly the reason of token collector. Cool. Heavenly Dragon Circle, normal summon.
Right.
And then they'll just go full board anyway.
Yeah, man, it just
it's one of those things where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right. Yeah.
That being said, if token collector resolves and they don't have a way, and they
you win the game immediately.
Yeah, it's hilarious because then you can just like link it off and activate it again on their next turn.
Yeah, token collector is a heck of a card.
There was another funny card. I'm trying to remember exactly what card it was. The Reptilian Field Spell. It's got a hilarious interaction that I just want to say because I think it's funny and I want to spread the word how funny this is.
Go for it.
Okay, so the Reptilian Field Spell states that whenever your opponent summons a monster that has 0 attack, you steal it and then give them a token.
But the token's not a tuner.
Token's not a tuner. They get a level 1 Reptilian token with 0 attack. The Sword Soul token has 0 attack. And the way the Sword Soul token is worded, whenever you steal it, you, the Reptilian player, are not locked. Can use the token for like links and stuff, no problem.
Right.
Your opponent can't. They have to synchro using a token that they don't have.
Which is very funny.
Yeah, which means that they cannot extra deck summon at all. Well, they can synchro, I think. Still, they don't have they have to. Right. Summon. Which is a funny interaction. It's never ever going to come up because the Reptilians are they're cool, but they're bad.
That is the story of reptiles.
Well, Ogdoadics are
cool but bad.
Well, no, here's the thing: they're arguably good.
No, they're bad.
But
don't let people cope. They're bad.
Not in a pure deck. They're a chaos deck, whether or not they want to be. They are not really a reptile deck, more of a chaos engine that just so happen to also be reptiles.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
The other card that I want to bring up against Sword Soul is Nibiru. Nibiru is really good against Sword Soul because a lot of Sword Soul players are playing very greedily. And they're going for the draw 2 play, which is where they go into Kijing Longyan as their 10 instead of Barone.
Or, well, because also on the normal plays, they'll hit summon 5, which was Longwan plus the token to make the 10.
Right,
That's
exactly.
summon 5. If you nib them, that is the prime location to nib them.
Right, but the issue with... Well, not really the issue, but there's another place to nib them, which is if they go full board, but they go for the Kijing Longyan play first. So, for an example is if they start with Longyan and then go up into Kijing Longyan and then go for a Mo Yi play, and then right there, let them do whatever they want. They can get as many synchros as they want as long as they don't have the materials to make another 10.
Yes.
Because if they make another 10, then they're going... then they can be going for Baron.
And then at that point...
As long as they haven't activated Eshuna.
Yes.
So... Because then they're going for a draw 2 play, but if they don't put up a full-on negate, I'm not worried about it. They can make as many monsters as they want, and I will nib them to death.
That's fair. But like my biggest issue is I have with me playing against the deck is I'm really bad at gauging whether or not you're going to go for the Kijing Longyan or...
Well, the thing is, if you go for the Kijing, then they'll do it first.
Fair enough. So before you can even nib them to begin with.
Exactly. So if you see the Kijing, then wait until they're about to end their turn.
Yeah, or even like wait for them to go pass and just go
Before the end of main, right?
Before end of main, nib.
Right, because most of the time they don't have a follow-up to that.
Yeah, because then they'll just lose the board they just set up. It's like, uh-oh.
Exactly. So, yeah, if they're going to overextend, let them overextend and then punish them.
Oh, yeah.
Or if they're going to go for Chi Zhao and then Baron, the issue with that is that it's very difficult to make Baron before Summon 5. So, the deck is very susceptible to Nib. The issue is, as we'll see, Nib is not the strongest against the other decks in the format right now.
Yeah.
So, speaking of, let's talk about Despia.
Oh, yeah, the one fusion deck in the meta at the moment.
Right. I would say that the best hand traps against this deck are DD Crow, Ash, and Imperm.
To a lesser extent, Ghost Bell.
Right.
But only if they don't have Branded Lost up.
Yes.
If they have Branded Lost up, Ghost Bell is worthless.
Right. My issue with Ghost Bell against the matchup, and this is the reason that I cut Ghost Bell personally, most of the time when they do something where they remove something from the graveyard, either they have branded and lost, or they're chain blocking it in a way to where you cannot stop it.
Exactly.
So I personally prefer DD Crow.
Because DD Crow don't care.
Right. DD Crow just removes the threat entirely.
Specifically, the way you're supposed to utilize DD Crow against the deck is that whenever they activate the branded in red...
On your turn.
They then have to target a card in their graveyard.
Right.
Return it to the hand, and then fusion. If they do not get that card back to their hand, they do not fuse.
Correct.
They have to target it, so you can just go, cool, chain DD Crow targeting your target.
Right.
So then it'll get banished. It doesn't return to the hand. They don't fuse.
Exactly. Yep. I would definitely recommend DD Crow. Ash, just let them do whatever they want. Just wait for the branded fusion. When the branded fusion comes down, hit it with Ash every time.
Oh, yeah. Really, it's just... Now, keep in mind, with Ash and branded loss, because this is something that comes up a lot. Branded loss states that your opponent cannot negate the activation of your fusion spells. Ash isn't negating the activation, it's negating the effect. Ghost Spell negates the activation.
Right.
And that's why Ghost Spell isn't near as good.
Yes, exactly.
So...
And Imperm, personally, I would just hit the Aluber when they summon Aluber.
Yeah, Imperm or Effect Veiler.
Right. If they have a monster on field that is a strong +1, just hit it with Imperm Veiler.
Yep.
So, I think that realistically, most of the time, you can really hit them hard with certain cards. The key is don't get trigger happy with them. The key is to be conservative and hit them at the strongest moments. I don't care if you have 15 cards in your hand, if they're all hard once per turn, and I hit the most critical parts of it, right? So I don't care if you have 15 cards in your hand. Because I impermed your Aluber, so you don't have Branded Fusion, or I ashed your Branded Fusion.
Well, or in that case, you don't have Branded Fusion or Branded Lost.
Right.
So they can search for either one, but
I'm not concerned with what's in the hand as long as I know where to interact with the deck. I know what cards to watch for, because I can hit Branded Fusion with Ash, like I said. I can imperm Aluber, or I can hit the Branded in red with DD Crow. I have a DD Crow in my hand. I don't care. I'm not activating it on my opponent's turn.
Yep. Yeah.
There's great places to hit. If I have 2 DD Crows, sure, I'll hit that Edge Imp chain when they send it as cost.
Oh yeah. But, you know, like there was literally one game I had against this deck where I looked at my hand, saw the 1 Crow, and went, cool. Set my hand down on the table and just sat there and went, yep, yep,
Seems good.
yeah. Man, that's a really good card. Cool. Okay, cool. My turn. Draw for turn. Start doing stuff, and as soon as they go Branded red, cool. DD Crow.
Yep.
And there goes their whole game plan.
It's really, really, really good. So, I would say Nibiru is not the strongest against this deck.
Because they can very well put out their whole inboard and get to summon
3 or 4.
3 or 4.
Right.
They don't summon very much. And then they'll make Guardian Chimera on your turn, which then becomes a problem.
Yeah, I think that it's a very strong deck, and they have the capability of flooding the field, absolutely. But Nibiru, I do not think, is the answer.
Oh yeah, particularly because they flood the field with fusions that will then because the first fusion is what lets you get the second fusion, which fetches you the new fusion spell to make a third fusion.
Right.
If you just stop the first fusion, they can't do any of that.
Right. Now, also, it's very realistic. Like, if you have multiple imperms, like if you hit, or multiple Veilers, if you hit the Aluber and then they go into the Lubellion, which I believe is the one that summons another one.
Yeah, just
hit the Lubellion. That's also a great place to hit. I prefer hitting the Aluber just to less opportunity for them to get into exactly what they want.
Exactly.
But I understand either way.
Okay. Something else you can do, which I think is absolutely hilarious, is is it Masquerade?
Masquerade's the one that burns you for 6.
Yes. I actually had somebody drop 2 of them on me. And I was like, man, that's stupid good. Imperm 1, Imperm the other.
It really do be like that.
And he was like, oh no. Cool. And I started doing stuff, and he went, so then I'm playing Dino. I went normal summon OV activate effect. And he went chain Brandon in red, and I went chain DD Crow.
That's a heck of a lot of interruption you had.
Yeah, I mean, I had 2 Imperms, DD Crow, and then I had the OV Raptor, and I don't remember what the last card in my hand was. It did not matter. They conceded at that point.
Right.
Because I'm just going to OTK them.
Right. I would say that the last card that I think is a really good card, depending on the type of Despia deck, is actually Droll and Lockbird.
Oh my, yes, it very much is.
So if they're running the Edge Imp package with the Allures, they're begging to get Drolled.
Oh yeah, no, because as soon as they normal summon a Luber, get the search, cool, Droll.
Or even if they activate, I think so they activate Branded Opening, and they don't activate it during the draw phase, because it's a quick play.
Yeah,
so they can activate it during the draw phase, and you cannot droll them in the draw phase. But if they don't activate it during the draw phase, or if they just normal summon a Luber, or if they just whatever, then you hit them with droll. It turns off all their allures, their entire patchwork engine.
It also turns off Despian Tragedy.
Yes, it really, really affects the deck. But if you don't see any allures and you don't see the Edge Imp package, which I think pretty much everybody is playing allures or Edge Imps these days.
One or the other, usually both.
Right. I would say that if you see either allure or Edge Imp, I would side in Drolls. If you go all of game 1 and you don't see them at all, that's when I would consider not putting in the drolls.
I mean, yeah, because there is the high chance they just didn't see it that game.
Right.
At the same time, it's still kind of a safer... It's still safer to just kind of go, I'm just going to side for just generic as opposed to this specific archetype.
Right.
Or subtype. Because then if you side for the specific subtype and they're not that subtype, you got a droll that's not going to be doing a whole lot.
Right. So, I wouldn't main deck droll, but it's a good side deck option against certain Despia.
Oh, yeah.
And lastly, I want to talk about the Punk Synchro decks that you see going around, like the Punk Adventure Synchro decks.
Super cool deck.
Yeah, I think the most impactful hand trap here is actually Droll and Lockbird. Droll is really rough on that deck. Between the Adventure package, the Punk package, just all the different ways that they add cards to their hand to generate their advantage.
The Therian package.
Right. All the different ways that they are adding cards to their hand can be really, really brutal.
Oh, yeah, just... especially if they normal summon the Therian plant one.
Lily.
Yeah, Lily, to get the Therian, the King Regulus, and you droll them there, they're like... Oh,
yeah.
They can summon Regulus, and that's it.
Right. Imperm is fine if you can hit the Zia Man. And honestly, even Ogre and Ghost Belt can be fine against this deck. There's so many different ways that they play and so many different ways that their cards interact that any hand trap can do something, but you really need to see a couple of them for it to be impactful.
Yep.
And
or
I think
you
a
get
lot
your
of
floodgates.
Right, and I think a lot of times when you go up against that deck, you end up seeing if you don't see either floodgates going first or at least 2 hand traps going second, it's going to be a rough time. It's a very good deck.
Oh yeah, listen. I was sitting there doing my thing up against that deck at a tournament, and he ended on a very unassuming board. It was like, I don't remember one of the monsters, but the main one that is what game ended me right there was
Halki Fibrax.
Yeah, it was like a Regulus, Halki Fibrax, something else. So then he tagged out the Halki Fibrax into
Formula.
It wasn't Formula. No, it was Formula. Because then he synchroed the Formula Synchron and a level 8 on board into
Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity.
Yeah, which is a 4K idiot who also prevents me from activating cards.
Yes. Cards or effects.
Yep.
Cards crazy.
Yeah. No. When they say that, what they mean is you cannot activate spells, you cannot activate traps, you cannot activate monster effects. Out the 4K dummy. Do it. I dare you.
Just off normal and special summoning without activating any effects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
The only way I know of how to do it is to attempt to summon Haman or Uriah because they're 4K.
Right.
And that's a summon condition, so drop them and then you just go crash.
Yeah. That would be the way to do it.
It's the only way I know how.
That build is a little gimmicky. I wouldn't worry quite as much about that build,
but keep in mind, that is a thing they can do.
Yes. So, there's lots of different ways to interact with all of these decks. But I think that a more generic hand trap lineup running 12 to 15 hand traps might be your best bet.
Yeah.
I think decks like Adignister have a lot of power right now because they can run that like 15 hand traps.
Yeah.
That's why Salamangrate is not a bad choice for deck right now.
Oh yeah. Not only that, they just got Heat Soul.
Right.
Which is a big boon to the deck. Something else that deck can do, which I think is absolutely dumb, is as far as their normal combo line, they can make Dagda, affect Dagda to set the Scythe, and just kind of keep going, use the Dagda and a tuner to make Halki Fibrax. Then they'll tag out the Halki Fibrax and a TG Wonder Magician, who then pop Scythe so they can Scythe lock you.
Right.
In Archetype, they just lose out on the ability to make the formula into a big floodgate synchro.
Right.
For a different floodgate.
Right.
It's disgusting.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. The last thing I want to do is we've been forgetting a lot, but I want to throw out a podcast question of the day real quick.
Let's do it.
So today's podcast question of the day is, what card was unassuming on release, but ended up being good later on?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I know. It just comes to me. So thank you, everybody, for listening to today's episode. Like I said, if you're on Apple or Spotify, please be sure to go ahead and click that follow button, that rate us, whatever it is that you can do on those apps. If you're on YouTube, if you've liked the episode, go ahead and subscribe for these episodes every Tuesday and Friday. And be sure to check out the notification bell, like it, whatever you need to do. And then, of course, the last thing I'm going to say is, please check out our Patreon and our affiliate links, all in the description down below. They help support the podcast a ton. They let us bring awesome things to you, the listeners, and we couldn't do this without the support of the listeners. So with all of that said, thank you all so much for listening to today's episode, and until next time, have a great weekend.
Take care, everybody.